Just bringing up the mixer here, checking VU levels. Gonna start outputting the VST parts. I have two options here. One will be to do a freeze edit, where we'll tell Cubase to analyze the VST instrument's output and save it as an audio file. Unload this instrument. Now you're not drawing as much processor power. It's an alternate to exporting or dumping. I prefer to do the dump. I prefer the dump. The export. Choose the instrument I want to dump. Destination folder. File type. Bit rate. Sample rate. This is the VST instrument I'm outputting, the A1. It's one of the bass lines. Real-time export. And do you want to incorporate this into your audio track? I suggest taking the time to always ID your audio parts like I'm doing right here. Sequencer is telling me it will merge these parts into a single track. It does the export. And down here on the bottom is my audio file. This is the WAV file representation of that VST performance. This is the same performance as the MIDI events. Wah, wah. Wah, wah. So now I can cut, copy, and paste with the audio segment versus the VST MIDI performance. Right here I'm zero crossing the ends. Just doing a quick fade out on the beginning and the end of this audio file before I start copying it. Control K or Apple K, how many times? And now each loop is edited. Now I'm going to dump this second VST part here, soloing the track, checking the VU, making sure there's no peaks. Once I'm comfortable with the output level, back to File and export as an audio mixdown. Naming my file. It is always important to name every file. Yes, it's slightly time-consuming typing like this, but it is very important when you do larger sequences in multi-track sessions. Again, IDing the actual audio file itself. And export. Again, I'm bringing up that audio performance of that VST part. And now I can turn off that second VST instrument, drawing less power from my processor. Again, do the zero crossing on the event before you copy. Now I'm opening up my locator points. This synth line or this pad line is much longer. And when you export, you're exporting between your left and right locator points. Just adding an audio track, showing the different formats we can have, up to the surround sound, stereo tracks, mono tracks, 5/1. Creating a MIDI part. Selecting the input, checking the sound card connections, adding an input bus, choosing how many channels I want to create, what type of channels to create, and now I can access these bus channels. All those inputs that were set up in the connections window are now accessible through the audio tracks. I'm soloing just the hi-hat track, the MIDI performance, and this is the audio input. my synthesizer's outputting these sounds, I've patched in the output of that synthesizer to my sound card's input, activated an input track, armed it, and we're hearing the return. Now I'm just recording it out, or taking a MIDI dump. That's dumping these synthesized parts as a WAV file. Just cross-fading out and in, sizing it up, making my copies. You dump out all of your synthesized parts from external devices, synths, or samplers. You dump them and track them as WAV files or audio files. Name your audio file before you track. That way the name of that file will be attached to the audio segment itself. It won't have a generic name like MIDI 01 or Audio 01. File management is integral to your success on a computer. Now here are the kicks and snares from the synthesizer. Just lowering the input level, monitoring the track, making sure there's no peaks, no red lights. Red lights are sexy, but they're not good for tracking. Playing the MIDI events, they're triggering from the synthesizer. The synthesizer's output is patched into my sound card, and we're taking another dump. Just zero crossing the front and ass end of these parts, making sure there's no pops and clicks before copying them. So now those synthesized parts, those kicks, snares, and hi-hats, have been recorded as audio. They can be affected as audio, and I can turn off that synthesizer altogether. Likewise, those VST instruments, their parts have been output. I can turn off their VSTs, turn off any effects, plugins that were inserted on them, and draw more power back onto my computer. If you have a lot of VSTs going at one time, your machine will probably run slowly, unless you have an effective computer with a decent sound card and tons of RAM. A way that you can get around that is to just export or bounce out your VSTs. Alright, so that's the tracking and the exporting stage. Peace out, dude.